How do you use social media to learn and grow? In this video, I'm going to give you a simple three-step process that I have used to harness the power of social media for improvement rather than simply wasting time. But before I get to that, I want to welcome you to Better Everyday Studios. My name is Matt Jertson. I'm a former Air Force instructor pilot, head of training and development at SpaceX, and now I run a company called Better Everyday Studios where we work with aerospace and defense companies to improve their performance through better talent development. Social media, interestingly enough, is one of the most powerful tools that you have access to in order to develop yourself. It might sound counterintuitive given what we normally hear from, the day-to-day media about social media. All of the discussion is about getting rid of as much social media as possible, about how it's kind of draining our energy. And I'll admit, there is a lot of truth to this. I came into 2024, I'll admit, with the goal of not taking my phone into the bathroom. I know that probably sounds weird, but be real with me. You do it too, right? You find yourself, you can't stand the idea of being in the bathroom in this quiet space with nothing to do for even 30 seconds. And so you bring your phone in, you open up Instagram, you scroll through a little bit, and before you know it, 5 minutes have passed, maybe 10 minutes have passed, and it's all just wasted time. And so I admit, social media can cause lots of problems because it kind of sucks us in and it distracts us from the things that we need to do. But if you understand how social media works and that power of social media, there's every reason that you can take advantage of that power and kind of aim it towards things that you want to achieve rather than letting it kind of aim you. And so as we get into this, before we get to the actual process, you have to understand why this is so important. And the reason it's so important is because for our brains, in terms of making decisions and figuring out how we're going to act in the world, context is incredibly important. Our brains were designed to remember things contextually, make decisions contextually. In fact, most of what you think of when you look out and see the world, most of what you're seeing is actually your brain imagining what you're seeing. It's taking all of your past experiences, all of the past context that you have to kind of create this illusion of reality around you. And what you're seeing actually isn't 100% based on like the physical reality. Most of it is being produced by your brain. And so if you want to change what you see and experience in the world, then you need to change your context. One of the greatest, most powerful examples of this actually came from the Vietnam War, because during the Vietnam War, somewhere between 10 and 25% of American soldiers became addicted to heroin. Like, it was everywhere. And so there was this huge worry that as the war wound down, or just as soldiers came home, there was going to be this massive influx of heroin and heroin addicts all throughout the United States. And it was just going to decimate our society. There was a lot of worry. There were new programs stood up by the US federal government to try to address this, and people didn't know what to do. But the interesting thing is that when those soldiers came back, only somewhere between 5 and 10% of them ever relapsed and did heroin again, which is an incredible number given that heroin is one of the most addictive drugs that are out there. The relapse rate for most heroin users is incredibly high. And so for there to be this dramatically lower, occurrence of relapse, the question is why? And the reason is context. They were using heroin in the context of a different country, a different environment, a different situation. They were literally in a war zone when they were using it. And so when they came home, all of the normal cues that would trigger them to do that behavior were gone. Right? If you've ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear, the cue is the first thing in that habit loop that he talks about, where if you want to develop any habit, the first thing you need is something in your environment to trigger you to say, oh yeah, I need to do that habit. In our world today, let's be honest, social media is a big part of our context. We're always looking at our phones, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever the platform of choice is for you, you're probably spending a lot of time on that. And though I agree you should be trying to spend less time on it, you might as well make that time as productive as possible. So what do? Well, here's the simple 3 steps that you need to take in order to take advantage of this and take control of your social media context so that you can change the kinds of things that you're bringing into your mind. The first thing is you need to set a goal. And this could be a lot of different goals. It could be something that you want to learn. It could be something that you want to have motivate you. Just instead of waiting to see what the algorithm serves up to you, just sit back and think for a second of what is a goal that I want to achieve in my life, and what are things I want to see or information that I want to have to help me towards that goal. Okay, so that's the first thing. Set a goal. Once you've set that goal, the second step is to go search for some accounts that will help you towards that goal. If you were really wanting to learn more about cars, then search for some car accounts. If you really want to learn, get motivated, if you're motivated by fitness and you're trying to change, you have a lot of fitness goals, then go search for some fitness accounts and follow those accounts. You want to deliberately add in some new accounts that are going to help serve your goal. And then step 3, this is really the critical one, is for the next 24 to 48 hours at least, only interact or engage with things that are moving you towards that goal. It could be content from those accounts, or maybe it's content from other accounts. If you're going to the search tab and just seeing what's popped up there, when you first go there, even after you first add those new accounts, let's use Instagram for an example. If you go to that search tab, a whole variety of things is going to pop up, and it's going to be based on all of the things that you normally look at or engage with. But just for this next 24 to 48 hours, don't engage with anything unless it helps serve you and move you towards your goal. Because what that's going to do is the algorithm is going to learn really quickly, there's been some shift in their behavior. They're wanting to look at new things. And rapidly, your entire feed is only going to be that content, right? So now, whenever you get on Instagram, whenever you get on X, the only things that you see are going to be things that are moving you towards that goal. So let me use some real world examples that I have had in my life. The first was for learning something. Towards the end of last year, I really wanted to up my game in PowerPoint. Yes, I am that much of a nerd, but a big part of my job is honestly making presentations. I usually make them in Google Slides, but I've been seeing just a lot of these cool transitions that you can make, and it looks really interesting. And so I wanted to take the time to get better at PowerPoint. I've been seeing a lot of shorts that were talking about that. And so as these shorts would pop up of PowerPoint design tips, I would just go into the account and follow them. And so I went in, I identified, I want to learn more about PowerPoint. So I went and found some accounts that focus on PowerPoint skills. Believe me, there's actually quite a few of them. And then for the next few days, the only shorts that I would engage with or kind of sit on or were those PowerPoint shorts. And sure enough, before I knew it, every short that it was feeding me was PowerPoint tips. And so now my whole world is thinking about PowerPoint. And it's just like, oh yeah, I could try this, I could do this. And sure enough, the next time I open up PowerPoint, I'm trying some new design techniques, making it look really nifty. And now the first presentation that I gave in 2024 was putting so many of these tips to use. And I was really, really excited and pleased with the outcome. So learning something is one thing you can do, but learning can be very specific or deliberate, but sometimes it's nice to use social media a little bit bigger picture. And so motivation is a really important thing to use social media for as well. And at the start of 2024, I found myself sitting back and thinking about what are the things that really drive me and motivate me. And to be honest, when I really sat down to thought about it, it was luxury resorts. I love staying at luxury resorts. Maybe it's because of the fact that when I grew up, basically all of our vacations were camping, right? That was a nice tent was a luxury resort, or when we got a pop-up tent trailer, that was real luxury. And so now as I'm becoming an adult, I will admit, I like, not for every vacation, certainly I can't afford that, but for every now and then, I like staying at some really, really nice hotels, and man, they are just so beautiful. And so I went onto Instagram, I just searched luxury hotels, of course, Four Seasons, Ritz, those kinds of accounts popped up. I followed all of those. And then for the next few days, whenever I went to the search tab or when things would pop up on my feed, I would only interact with pictures of luxury hotels. And man, now, whenever I open up Instagram, it's just gorgeous. It's just so like, oh, I just get filled with this fire to go drive and build my business and go after more customers, because everything that I'm seeing is a reminder of these are the things that you love and these are the things that you can have, right? And so, that's how I'm now using social media, and it's not that hard, right? It takes self-control, right? Which is hard, right? So I would say it's simple, but hard. It does take self-control, because rather than just, clicking on anything that like kind of fires off in your brain and makes you excited to see, makes you really interested, you have to say, okay, remember, I'm just focusing on these specific things. So I'm only going to interact with that from now on. So let's recap. Social media, sure. Should most of us probably engage with social media less or use social media? Yes, absolutely. But the reason for that is because of the amazing addictive power it has. So what we can do, though we should engage with it less, is when we are engaging with it, use that power to our advantage to build a better context for our lives that helps us learn and grow. Simple way to do it. All you need to do is go in and identify your goals, follow accounts that will lead you toward that goal, engage with stuff that will lead you to that goal. And before you know it, your entire feed is going to be solely focused on one specific outcome that you are trying to achieve. I hope this helps you. I hope this helps you achieve your goals, get motivated, grow as we think about getting into, we're at the beginning of 2024 now, so I'm sure you have some big goals for yourself, for your team, maybe it's for your organization. So hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching the channel, and I will see you next time.